The Hinterkaifeck mystery, when the killer lived with the victims for 4 days. Deep within the secluded fields of Bavaria, Germany, there once stood a farmstead known as Hinterkaifeck. More than 100 years have passed since that fateful night in 1922, yet the mere mention of its name still sends shivers down the spine due to its sheer brutality and the surreal, suffocating atmosphere surrounding the case. This was not just a multiple homicide. It was a story of isolation, primal fear, and a cold-blooded killer who lived among the corpses for days. It all began with a series of unsettling omens that no one took seriously. Andreas Gruber, the patriarch of the family, had told neighbors about finding strange footprints in the snow leading from the forest edge toward the farm, but notably, there were no footprints leading back out. He reported hearing phantom footsteps in the attic, finding a strange newspaper that no one in the family had purchased, and a set of house keys that had suddenly vanished. At the time, people simply thought Andreas was being paranoid or senile. In reality, the killer was likely already there, lurking in the shadows of the barn, silently observing the family's every move for days before striking. On the night of March 31st, 1922, a horrific tragedy unfolded. 6 victims, Andreas and his wife, Cecilia, their widowed daughter, Victoria, her 2 children, Cecilia and Josef, and the newly arrived maid, Maria Baumgartner, were brutally murdered. The perpetrator is believed to have lured them one by one into the barn using a pickaxe to end their lives. The cruelty reached its peak with 7-year-old Cecilia. She did not die instantly, but lay among the bodies of her kin for hours, tearing out clumps of her own hair in agony, before finally succumbing to her wounds. What makes Hinterkaifeck the strangest case in criminal history is what happened after the victims fell. For the next 4 days, while 6 corpses lay cold in the barn and bedrooms, the farm continued to operate in an eerie fashion. Neighbors still saw smoke rising from the chimney, and the livestock in the stable remained well-fed and watered. Someone had even prepared meals in the kitchen and lit fires to keep warm against the freezing winter chill. The killer did not flee immediately. He stayed, ate, and slept in the very house he had just drenched in blood. He calmly faced the deathly silence until villagers, concerned by the family's unusual absence, investigated on April 4th. By the time the authorities arrived, the culprit had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a haunting scene with half-eaten plates of food still on the table. Hundreds of people were interrogated, from neighbors with long-standing grudges to transient vagrants. Some suspected Victoria's late husband had not actually died on the battlefield and returned for revenge. Others pointed towards the scandalous rumors of incest within the Gruber household. However, every lead hit a dead end. In 2007, students at a German police academy used modern forensic techniques to re-examine the files. They identified a prime suspect, but out of respect for living descendants, the name was never publicly disclosed. The Hinterkaifeck farm was demolished a year after the murders, but the terror it left behind remains intact. A small memorial now stands where the blood-soaked house once was. The case remains a chilling reminder of a primal fear, the stranger watching from the dark inside the very place we consider most safe.